Hello guys, this is Paul from Perdu, and we are here today for the second installment of our Hidden Tricks of LSDJ video series. First of all, I would like to apologize for the crappy sound. My mic is quite sensitive and it picks up the wind that my laptop fan makes, which is pretty loud, so I have a noise gate set up, so this is gonna be not the best sound ever, but still understandable, I hope. So yeah, bear with me, because today we're gonna tackle a very important topic about LSDJ. We're gonna talk about waves, which is why I have this super cool LSDJ sea blue skin. I've had requests about LSDJ skins. This is a custom skin and custom fonts, let me show off, made by my good friend William, aka Aquilex, which makes awesome LSDJ breakcores. Seriously, go check his page. He's awesome. He's great. He's a great guy. For a small donation, he will give you an IPS patch that you can patch your LSDJ ROM with. I recommend having 4.7 or 4.8 at least, because I think that's what he's working on. And the fonts are made by some guy over at chipmusic.org. And so we have the Mario font, Mario NES font, and the Tracker Wide font that looks like the, I think it's the PC Tracker. I think it's Impulse Tracker, but I'm not sure. And then we have this wonderful lowercase font, which is really clear, and I really like this one. But for visibility purposes, we're going to switch to this one, which I think most people will be more familiar with. Okay. So, enough about the introduction, let's talk about waves. I've had requests to talk about how the wave channel works, and this is a fascinating subject in LSDJ. When I started out, it was really... I looked at this, the pulse channel is pretty intuitive, but then I looked at this, and I saw this, and I saw this, and I was like, what the hell? No profanity. What the shiz is going on with the wave channel? I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's play around anyways and make cool stuff. And I have a feeling that's what many people do, and that's totally fine. That's what I've been doing. That's what Monodeer, which I hold in very high esteem for his LSDJ control and tightness and sound design, Monodeer has admitted to not knowing how the channel worked on his first EPs, which I think are really awesome. Go check them out and go buy them. They're really, really awesome. So yeah, let's start. We're going to tackle three things in this video. Hopefully it will not be too long. We're going to tackle the instrument screen that is specific to the wave channel, and we're going to tackle the synth screen and the wave screen. First, I think we're going to start with the synth screen, because the way wave channel works in LSDJ is it is a software wavetable synth. Everything you're gonna do in LSDJ is gonna be reproduced in the forms of a drawn wave. So where is my screen? Synth. And every wave channel instrument has a synth assigned to it. You have F synths, that is to say 16 in hexadecimal. And so this is kind of your sub-instrument. Your instrument is assigned a synth. And what a synth does in the wave channel is it's going to create a sequence of, I think, 16 F waveforms, and these waveforms are here. You can see the numbers running, and it's really, really what makes the wave channel super powerful is that it's going to generate 16 waveforms according to an overwhelming number of parameters that we're going to go through one by one. First of all, you're going to select a basic waveform. This is going to be sawtooth, square-ish, and there's a debate over whether this is sine wave or triangle. I'm team triangle. This obviously doesn't look like a sine wave, but this does, so I don't know. But this is triangle to me. So you have your wave, your basic waveform, then you have your filter type. So basically, basic knowledge of synthesis is really handy when you want to understand how the wave channel works. For those of you who don't know, filters are basically, you have your whole range of frequencies from 0 to 20 kHz, and what filters will do is they will cut a range of frequencies. Low pass filters will let low frequencies pass, so they will cut high frequencies. High pass will do the opposite. They will cut low frequencies and let high frequencies pass. High pass. Band pass will only have a section of the frequencies pass, a band of the frequencies, and all pass will let everything pass. Q is what you would call the resonance, I think. I don't know what it's called, Q. I think it's akin to the resonance in standard filters. If you've ever used a filter in a standard DAW when mixing or when doing DJing, resonance is really what shapes the sweep of the filter. So we've covered what filter does. Resonance is about the filter. When you have, for example, a low pass filter and you're applying it gradually, you're gonna have something that goes like gradually cutting all the high frequencies. What the resonance does is it's gonna boost the frequencies right where they are cut off. So this is what gives it the little notch. This is what allows you to feel the sweep. Because if you're just going to have a standard low pass, you're just gonna hear more and more bass and less treble. With the resonance, you're gonna actually have some kind of a sonic cursor that will sound like frequencies decreasing. In order to explain distortion, I think I'm going to have to show you waves. As I have said, let's tackle this first. The wave channel works with synths that create a section of 16 waveforms per synth. So you have F waveforms for F synths. So F times F, I think that's 255, but I might be wrong. 16 times 16. Math people, help me out. And you're going to have a start position and an end position. This will be the setting of the first wave frame, and this will be the setting of the end, the last wave frame. And what LSDJ is going to do is it's going to calculate all the wave frames in between those. So for example, if we start, we're going to start with this. Sorry for the bad sound, but I think the saw wave is really explanatory visually. We're going to start with a super low, like something like volume 1. So this is what your wave will look like. And we're going to make it increase up to volume 10. Volume 10. You see the saw wave increasing in amplitude when you cycle through the first F frames, the first 16 frames. Okay, so that's volume. You can go higher than that, of course. You can go up to FF volume. But as you can see, volume 10 is basically where the saw wave is at the fullest in terms of screen real estate. So what higher volumes will do is they're gonna make the waveform clip, as if the wave would like to grow past. You see the straight lines at the bottom and at the top. This is what the waveform would be if it went over the screen borders, and that is called clipping. And so back to our distortion settings. When distortion clips, it's gonna read the waveform as is, but then you have the second, and this is what it's gonna sound like. you can hear the waveform that starts with a basic saw wave and that gradually clips, adding to it more of a square wave kind of quality. And this is what clip does. It adds more square things to it, because obviously if it clips, it's flat, so it's square. And what wrap does is, you're gonna see, it actually well, it's kind of self-explanatory. I'm gonna increase the volume so that you can see it even better. Let's go at 40. Not even F this, literally. Oh, this is a bit too much. But what wrap does is it wraps up the waveform that clips at the bottom or at the top when it clips. I'm gonna try and look for a setting that explains what I want to show really well. Okay, so you see the wave. When it starts to reach the top and the bottom of the screen, it reappears where it disappears. And this is what you end up with. This is what is called a wrapping waveform. And this ends up being like, instead of being one saw wave, this is like 4 saw waves that we see here. And this is way grittier than what a simple waveform looks like. So you have your volume 1 up to volume, I think, 40. And if you go up to volume F, which I don't necessarily recommend if you like your eardrums, this is what your end wave will look like. A lot of saw waves that wrap into each other. And this is really, like, this kills children. This kills baby seals. Don't do that unless you want to kill baby seals. Okay, so that's it for distortion. I hope this was clear enough. Don't forget to comment if you think I have glossed over an aspect too much. Let's talk now about phase. You have, let's say, several types of phase settings, which is normal phase, resync, and resync 2. And this has to do with the phase section at the beginning and at the end of the synth. First, let's set it to normal and let's explain what phase does. I'm gonna have, this is gonna be my starting waveform, volume 10, super standard saw wave. And I'm going to add phase gradually up to 1F, I think is the maximum. I think that's 32. So you have yours. Okay, this is my basic waveform, and adding phase will actually push the waveform and squeeze it and squash it so that it becomes at the utmost, at the highest phase value, it becomes nothing. So don't put 1F unless you want silence, because a flat wave is silence, and you're gonna hear that. Ends up being silence. So you can, same deal as distortion, kind of. You can add a little square kind of quality to your wave. This is gonna evolve way more slowly, and this is low phase impact. But basically, yeah, you've seen what phase does. But you have different settings, different phase settings. So let's get phase back to 1F at our end position. Maybe 1E. This way it doesn't actually kill the wave. This is the highest phase. So you see here, the 2 leftmost points is what's left of our saw wave. It's being completely squashed into quasi-nothingness. So this is normal phase shift. And if I go back to the synth screen, I'm going to switch to resync phase, which is going to do that. A new wave appears. And when you have more waves, higher harmonics appear. Look at this, pretty dots. This satisfies my OCD. Okay, so let's hear what this does in terms of waveform, in terms of effects. So you heard that at the end? This is what I was talking about. More saw waves, so higher harmonics. This being like almost a super high pitched noise, even though we're at C3. Let's hear what this does to the lowest note, for example. Yeah, you can hear that pretty well. It just increases the high harmonics. And Resync 2, what Resync 2 is going to do is it's going to be a different type of resync. That you have more waves appearing gradually, and this is just a different type of resynchronization. I think the first one actually squashes the wave when it resyncs. Let's try resync 1 wave screen, and let's cycle through my. Okay, I'm struggling here. Did I forget something? No. Okay. The amplitude is still conserved. It still goes up and down and up and down. With Resync 2, it's going to... Yeah. What's it going to do? It's going to override... You see, it doesn't go up anymore. The previous point is completely overwritten by the first phase of the next installment of the wave. Zzz. You can see the diagonal being progressively eaten by the new waveform. And at the highest points, this is kind of an even higher saw wave. Let's hear what this does. C3. So, same. Higher harmonics in a different kind of way. So that's it for phase and resync. This is our standard sync. Oh, and we're actually in rap, but it doesn't rap because we're still at volume 10. Now, cutoff. As I've mentioned, filters cut off frequencies. So this is your cutoff value. This is the frequencies that this corresponds to a value in the wave that is going to be cut off by the filter. If I input 0 and cycle through FF, let's put phase back at 0, and let's see what this does. You see, the wave completely morphs into, like, from nothing, 0 frequency, and gradually adds low frequencies. This is a quasi-perfect saw wave. I'm gonna sine wave. I'm gonna show you what this sounds like. Which frame is this? This is frame 1, frame 0, frame 1. And so let's call this with the F command. I'm gonna deal with the F command later. For now, I'm just gonna show you exactly what this frame sounds like. This is the most low-end rich waveform that you could have for a sine wave. Okay, let's go back to where we were. No F. Okay. Basic raw. What was I talking about? I've done phase. I'm doing cutoff. So yeah, from nothing, because we cut off all the frequencies, to low end, to progressively more high end. And this is what we end up with at frame F. You can hear bass to treble. Whip. And yeah, this is what it does to the this is what cutoff does in case of a low pass filter. Let's try it with a high pass filter. This is the exact opposite. We start from 0 frequencies to all highs. We start from 0 frequencies to all highs, to gradually less highs. So this is only high frequencies, gradually into this. Let's try and see what this sounds like. Frame 2. This is kind of an inverted sine wave. ish deal. So this is what this sounds like. Let's set our instrument back to once. Okay, cutoff. This is what cutoff does in case of a low pass and a high pass. I'm not gonna do them all, but you get the gist. It cuts off frequencies and it makes waveforms cycle through the different phases. Now VShift. VShift stands for vertical shifts, and you're gonna see this actually pushes the waveform up, kind of in the same way that Resync did. Kind of in the same way that rap distortion did, and you're gonna see this doesn't sound pretty, but it looks pretty. Did I still set my cutoff? I want no cutoff evolution, so from FF to FF, no evolution. But I want VShift to evolve from 0 to FF. So look, we're gonna lift this waveform up to F. And this is what you're gonna hear in the middle, the super raspy, greasy kind of bass. There you go. This is VShift, vertical shift of the waveform. So now you've seen you have a start position with volume cutoff phase and vertical shift, and an end position with volume cutoff phase and vertical shift. So the more you play with these settings, the more crazier the waveforms will get. I'm going to show you, for example, so I've talked about this Q value. This is the resonance. So this is how much the frequency will be boosted at the threshold of the cutoff frequency. So I'm going to show you one of my favorite waveforms that I like to do. Resonance level 4, volume I think 20, and cutoff I think 40. I really like this one. And I like it to be, and look at this waveform, guys. Like, this is really crazy. You have your basic saw wave that is gradually being completely warped into this mess. Okay, I don't know why there's like no low end at all. But basically, the more you play with this and the more crazy waveforms you'll recognize. What you need to keep in mind is that it cycles from this info, like from 10 to whatever is in there, and from F to whatever is in there, and to 0 from whatever is in there, and so on. And it calculates and interpolates the values between this and this, this and this, and so on, to create a section of 16 or F waveforms. So now that I've covered the synth screen, let's go to the instrument screen, because this is the section of 16 waveforms, and this is how we will cycle through them. We've got volume, which is 0%, 25%, 50%, 100%, output, left, right, center, vibrato type, high frequency and low frequency, blah, blah, blah. Tip, if you push A plus up and down instead of left and right cycles through the vibrato type. Up and down inverts the vibrato phase. So here's for a cool trick. So what instrument does in the wave channel? You've got play type. What this is going to do is it's going to play the wave sequence once. This is going to do this and stop. This is going to loop this is going to loop the wave sequence, and this is going to cycle through the wave sequence ping pong, so back and forth. So for example, for a standard wobble, you're going to have whop that stops at the F waveform. You're going to have whop whop whop, and you're going to have wow wow. I hope I didn't make too much of an ass of myself, but I think this is really illustrating what these do. And then you have manual. Manual is interesting because it will only read the frame that you call. This is why when you have manual, you have no clipping at all between sequences because it's only reading one. And as soon as you switch to another, you can hear a lot of clipping between. This is the clipping that is produced when the synth cycles from one waveframe to another. Length is the number of waveframes. So you have 16 waveframes, and this is the number of waveframes that the sequence is going to cycle through. So 0, which is equivalent to manual, 1, which is actually 2. So we've got, let's switch to another kind of synth. No VShift from 1 to 50. So you got low volume to low volume to high volume in 2 waveframes. This is 0, this is 1, so it's going to cycle from 0 to 1. This is 2. Dugadi. Fourth, and so on up to F. And this is interesting. This is the repeat value. So let's start over. 0, 1. It's more telling if we play this in loops. So you're going to hear 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Looping through waves 1 2 3 1 2 3. And actually it's not going to call waves 1 2 and 3 because the section doesn't. Oh, look at that, how pretty this is. The section does not call frames 1 2 and 3 when I say length is 3. It's going to take the first, and then if I say 3, I think it's going to be the one exactly in the middle, and then the last. I might be wrong. It might be the one and then the first third and then the second third. And anyway, you can play around to find which of the waveforms the sequence is calling. And then 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5, etc. up to 16. And this is the repeat value. This is what the repeat value does is once you've gone through one sequence of length, like for example a sequence of 3, it's going to repeat this number of frames. So repeat 0, it's going to repeat nothing, so it stays still. It's going to repeat 1. So you got the first sequence 1 2 3, and then repeat. It's going to repeat 2. So if you play with this cleverly, you can have really interesting rhythmic wave cycles, etc., etc. I usually set this as F because I whenever I set something to ping pong, I wanted to repeat everything. You can hear that it's going it's going back and forth through my cycle. This is the number of frames. This is the number of frames that is repeated at the end of the sequence. And speed. Speed is the number of ticks that each wave frame is going to last. So 1 is the fastest, and I don't recommend using it because you've heard that it clips every time that it cycles through one waveframe to the other. So 1 is going to be 1 tick, which is the lowest time unit possible in LSDJ. 1 tick per waveframe. So what you hear is more clipping than actual modulation. 2 ticks, 3 ticks, 4 ticks, and I like 6 ticks because when you're in groove 6/6, 6 is the exact amount of ticks that you have per step. So each step is actually like a new note. like a new 16th notes in your beat. Da 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 da, etc. etc. And then you have table settings because you have automation and table number. I'm not going to go through these right now because I'm gonna do another video on tables, but most of you already know what these do. Okay, so that's basically it. That's what the instrument does, and that's what the synth does. So now hand-drawn waves. You might have noticed that you can actually alter each and every one of these frames. Okay, one more detail. Since 0, all the waveframes are already here. They already take their slot in the memory. And I'm going to go up to FF. I think there's FF waveforms, etc., etc. And there's 16 per synth. So you have F synths. So the first 6 synths are assigned to the first synth, and if I do another synth here, for example this to this, you're gonna see first synth is gonna be, this sequence is my first synth. And when we go to 10, this is gonna be my second synth. And so this way you can easily remember which waveform is from where. Just count up to 16, and you know where you are. The first synth up to F, second synth from 10 to 1F. Okay, and it goes up to synth F, so FF. Now that that's out of the way, I was going to talk about hand-drawn waveforms. So this is really useful in terms of visual cues, but you can actually alter these by hand. And one of the most common misconceptions is that the hand-drawn waves in LSDJ are only accessible when you set this to manual, because obviously if you set it to manual, then you can do whatever you want and you can manually draw. But actually hand-drawn waves are actually available even when you're in the ping pong and loop and once play types, and I'm going to demonstrate this. We have our first synth. That is going to be volume 10 to volume 60. No, that's synth 1. So let's ignore this. This is our first synth, and this is synth 0 and synth 1. So this is what the cycle is for synth 1. I'm going to have my synth 1, my instrument, go to a length of 3, and it's going to repeat everything. So we're going to have 3 waveforms that we are going to be able to edit by hand. The first one, I think, should be waveform 10. So on the first wave, I'm going to do this. I'm going to input some little modification. You should hear a difference. This is the first wave that I have edited. Now we are going to try and find the second one. I think it's going to be 18, but I'm not sure. No, basically, I don't think it's 18, which is curious. Let's try. One by one. Nope. 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 Sorry about this, it's kind of tedious, but nope, still not. Okay. Still not. Still not. Okay. And we've seen that it's not this one. Still not this one. Still not this one. Oh, this is getting weird. I should have cycled through this one. I mean, this is kind of weird. This really shows that I don't know how LSDJ selects the interpolation. So I don't know which the second is, but I can definitely assure you that the third one is going to be the last one. So there you have it. We've altered, even though we have something that cycles through an entire cycle, we can still alter this. This is the first wave that we hear, and 1F is the second. And be careful, because once you start drawing, you better have your synth ready, because once you start drawing, every time you're going to input a new modification, this is going to overwrite everything that you've hand drawn in order to recalculate all the waves between the synth sections. So there you have it. I think that covers pretty much what I know and what I'm sure about. There's a lot of things that I'm not sure about in the wave channels, and yeah. Now I'm going to share with you a trick that I use a lot. I've said that I usually do this. I set speed 6 in order to have waves that cycle at the exact speed of a 16th note, but this is relevant to the groove. So if you're in groove 5/5, this is going to be 5, groove 7/7, this is going to be 7, etc., etc. One of the tricks that I like to use is to have a bass that I like, which is usually 2040 as my go-to. Listen to that. Let's look at the waveform of the synth. Select. This is what I've drawn. Nope. Oh, something is really weird here. What did I do? Oh, phase 12. When did I put phase 12? I thought it was phase 5. Okay, what I want is waveform 10. This is what I've drawn. This is what I've created with these settings specifically. This is the result of this. Exactly. And so yeah, this is basically one of the waveforms. This is one of the waveforms that I like to use, because I think it's really rich in both high and low end, and it's really loud. So yeah, if you like loud things, you're gonna like this one. But what people tend to not do is, because you know this trick when you have a pulse instrument. Let's go to the pulse channel. Look how pretty that is. Oh man, I love this. Let's go to the pulse channel and create a pulse. This is your standard pulse instrument. Oh, the clipping is caused by BGB shitting all over itself, so sorry. And one of the standard tricks is to use high frequency V commands in order to give it a raspy edge. And because because wave instruments tend to be already super gritty, we tend to not use these at all. We tend to not use V's in the wave. But this can have some really interesting results. Let's see if I can find what I'm looking for exactly. Ah, yeah. This is kind of what I was looking for. So, because the waveform is already super raspy, and we're inputting this. And we're inputting a high frequency V command. The rasp plus the rasp phase together, and they create that kind of flangy, filtery, modulation-y effect. This is not I like this one. And this is all in a completely manual one frame instrument. Now, I use this a lot, but be careful because this eats through CPU like crazy. The more V's you have, the more CPU it will eat, because the pitch is gonna go crazy, and the synth is gonna go crazy, and it's gonna eat your CPU. So pop up your GBA SPs and start doing this. But be careful because there is a catch to this trick, and it's this. If I input the same value, like for example, you're going to say, hey, why do you put this in a slot and not in the table? I'm going to show you why. Let's put my V. I think it was A6. Is it? Yeah. A6. So we have this. A5. So this works nice. But once you switch notes, you switch pitch, and so the modulation of the vibrato is not going to be the same. So you're going to have to find the right A value again. Yeah, sorry about that. This is maybe not the most entertaining part of the video. So yeah, F is super fast and super wide, so you've noticed that this is supposed to be a D. But actually it cycles so fast that it even transforms it into an E. Do D. So this is more like it. I think anything more than this. Oh. So now I find two values that make my wave wobble-ish, or even flange, without the use of any synth tricks. This is all manual and V. Okay, I think this can wrap up whatever I know about the wave channel. Oh, no, one last thing. You might have seen that whenever I use the wave, manual wave, I use the F command. This is what I forgot to talk about. F commands. F stands for frame. And what it's gonna do is it's, for each synth, it's gonna call a particular frame in the cycle. So this is wave 10 and this is wave 11. So if I want my cycle to start one or two waveframes later, this is possible thanks to my friend the F command. But keep in mind that F is relative, so this is not going to call frame 1, this is going to say frame plus 1 to the existing wave, to the existing cycle. So this can lead to interesting results when in which you have your cycle is going to do, instead of cycling into itself, it's going to start here, and then you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 16, and it's going to bleed through to the other synth. So you're going to have a wave that evolves into the other synths really weirdly, because this is going to be, okay, I'm going to start at +8 and I'm going to go 16 up. And 16 up is this. This is the waveframe that it's going to call. So you're going to end up with a sound that is not really relevant to what you've inputted. This is interesting. Let's try and demonstrate this. I have my synth 0 is this, and if I put it into ping pong, this sounds awful. Sorry about that. I don't have any. Oh yeah, I have VShift. Pesky VShift. Let's try to find something that is not too ear rapey. So this is nice, and this is what synth 1 will sound like. So synth 0 and synth 1. So you've heard them, and now we're going to say, for example, this is going to be synth 0, and it nicely goes inside its own cycle. But if I do, for example, F0F, I'm going to offset the waveframes by 16, and I think it's going to bleed into the other synth. Actually, it's already bleeding into the other synth because this is 16. So if I offset it by 8, you're going to have half of the cycle is going to be synth 1 and half of the other cycle is going to be synth 2. So this demonstrates what the F command does. And when you're in manual, I think it just calls whatever frame number you input. So I think that's it, guys. I've talked a lot. I don't even know how long the video is, but I hope you like it. I hope you liked it. Once again, this has been Paul from Perdu. Tomorrow, which is way too soon, we're going to play and open for Harley Likes Music. Go like our page. Go follow us on SoundCloud, please. Subscribe to our new little channel and request something in the comment section or on Facebook. I am Paul au Petit Gendre. You can reach me at Perdu on Facebook. And this has been episode 2 of the hidden LSDJ tips and tricks. Thanks for watching, and see you soon in video number 3.